$200 a month invested into the S&P 500 will net you over $1 million in 40 years. The only problem with that is, who wants to wait 40 years? And in 40 years, will $1 million even be enough due to inflation? Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, I'm Professor G, and this is Office Hours. So just like in the classroom, where I teach about the big idea, when students want to learn a little bit more, they come to my office for office hours. And so in this segment, I'm answering your questions with what I think, my opinions, my thoughts, but we go a little bit deeper, and it's unedited. It's just straight me to you. So I get this question a lot in my comments, things like, well, who cares if it's $1 million in 40 years because $1 million isn't going to be worth anything. Or I get all the time, I don't want to wait 40 years. I want to get rich now. Well, let's talk about both of those things because I agree with you, but let's take it another step forward. So the first one, about not wanting to wait 40 years. Okay, totally understand that. But then what's the next thing that we need to say here? What do we need to do? Because what you're telling me is that you don't want to wait 40 years in order to have $1 million. Great. How can we then get that $1 million in 20 years or 10 years? The only way that we're going to do that without, striking rich in the lottery or something, a way that you can actually control would just mean that you'd have to invest more. So, are you physically capable? Are you literally able to part with more money every single month and live off of very, very little in order to hit that goal sooner? If so, great. I would just caution you because living off of too little might be okay for a little while, but I promise you that it's going to start eating up at you because you're going to start working super hard, making some good money, but not being able to ever use that money might start messing with your head and your mental health. It might start taking you away from things that actually matter today, like your family, your health, things like that. So I would just caution you in this thought of, I want to get rich quick. That's why people that are older than you tell you you can't get rich quick. It's just literally impossible. Yes, some people will make a super cool tech company and sell it for $100 million and they got rich quick. Awesome. But do you have that capability? Do you have the skills to build that thing? Most likely not. So when I say something like $200 per month invested into this broad index fund or ETF will net you over $1 million in 40 years, that's basically saying that that little amount, that $200 that you could probably part with and not even really worry about, that could turn into something that's so big that you're able to live off of later on in life. So that's just one way to look at this. Now, for those of you that are saying something like in 40 years, $1 million won't be enough. I do kind of see where you're coming from. I do agree with that. Because inflation is just a killer, and our money is incredibly inflated now and will probably continue to do so. So, totally understand, but again, when I hear these things like, oh, I don't want to invest and get $1 million in 40 years because 40 years from now $1 million won't be worth anything, that isn't the right way to go. You're basically saying that having that $1 million at that point isn't going to be enough. So what you actually need to do is you need to have more than $1 million at that point. So if that $200 a month is only going to get us to $1 million, what is it that it's going to get us to something that you think is sustainable to actually live off of? And so I think that the target should be closer to 2 million, to be honest. It also might be better to start targeting things that actually rise with inflation as well. So most of my investments are in things like ETFs and specifically real estate for that reason. The reason being is house prices have gone up so much in the past couple of years, and even if you look back a couple decades, they've gone up even more. So if we're saying something like having $1 million in 40 years isn't going to be enough, I agree with that, but let's still have that $1 million. I would rather have $1 million than 0. Then on the side as well, try to have 1, maybe 2 rental properties, and say right now the property is worth $300,000. In 40 years, that property might be worth another $1 million right there. And so you'll have that appreciating value that has happened with the house, and then you also have that $1 million in the stocks, and now you're going to be able to have a much better living to be able to retire with. At the end of the day, we can't just say, oh, $1 million isn't going to be enough in 40 years, or 40 years from now is way too long a way to get rich. Can't just stop there. We have to then say, okay, but then what am I going to do with that information? Does that mean I need to go crazy and try to get $1 million sooner than that? Or do I need to make my overall goal bigger? Or do I need to start looking at structuring things that'll make more sense because of that information? You guys are smart in saying these things, but we need to be extra smart and now do something with that. And so the more that you follow this channel, the more that that's kind of where my ideas come from. It's about the so what, not just what, which I think a lot of people just kind of stick around and make excuses for. So I'm going to do my best to bring you all into the idea of, okay, so what are we going to do with that information? So hopefully this was helpful. If you have other questions, I'd love for you to put them down in the comment section below so I can answer your question next week on Office Hours.